Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. All right, so today we're going to go over math number 3, which is our quartiles lesson. So before we get started, I just want you to know that this is probably one of the more difficult things we're going to be learning right now. And it's something that I don't get to every single year. So just bear with me as I explain it. There's also a few different ways to um, kind of change it and make and modify it so that it makes it certain ones a little bit easier. So just keep an eye out for that. I'll kind of explain that as I go along, show you different ways to make it different. But I do want you guys to at least try. It's okay if you don't finish all the practice problems. Just make the attempt. That's all that really matters. Alrighty. Okay. So we are going to take a look at the notes. Alrighty, so here are notes. These are also on Google Classroom for you, so that you can take a look at them there. I also have the practice problems and answers to those practice problems on Google Classroom too. So just so you know that there's always that way to find everything. So a little bit about quartiles. They're actually something that's used for a thing called a box and whisker plot, which we will get to next week. We're going to do a lot of review next week, but we are going to use this skill to help us with box and whisker plots next week. So it's just a different way of graphing, and it's something that's usually on the CAS test. So I just want you guys to see it at the very least and do one little thing with it so that if it comes up next year or in 8th grade, you've seen it before and you have some sort of skill base in the back of your mind to access it, okay? So I have 2 examples here. We're gonna start with the first one, example number 1 up here as we go through. Now the answers I have written under each step is for that first example, okay? And then we'll talk about example number 2 because I ended up making a mistake, and it was actually a really good one because I feel like this is something that you guys might try to do because that's where my brain was. So we'll go over that in a moment, okay? All right, so the first thing you want to do is you want to write down the data set that they give you, okay? So we have that written right here. They're out of order, just like those data sets that you saw when we were doing mean, median, and mode, okay? So you're going to write down that data set, and then the next one is to rewrite it from least to greatest, okay? So rewriting it from the smallest number to the greatest number, right? So that's kind of like very base. We did that with mean, median, mode. You guys can do that. Okay? Now, step number 3 is to locate the median. Remember, that's that number in the middle, okay? So like we did last time, I'm gonna get this annotation out. Okay, so you kind of count from, you cross out the outsides, then the next outsides, then the next one, then the next one. Oh, that meant that you actually had 2 numbers. Now we didn't have that the other day when we did mean, median, and mode because I designed it to not have that happen. But it is important for you guys to know that when you're finding the median, that number in the middle, and you have 2 numbers left right here, which means that the median's technically in between those 2 numbers, you have to find the mean or the average of those numbers. So right here, you'll see when your median is between the 2 numbers, add them together and then divide by 2. So for here, we would add 67 plus 72, which you get 139. And then 139 divided by 2, which gives you 69.5. So what that means is that your median is actually 69.5. That's what you would write as your median. Now the median in this with quartiles is also called quartile 2. So what you'll see is right here, I have the median line, which tells me that's 69.5. I should have written it here. That was a mistake. And then I have it written as the median, but I also have this Q2. So what you'll see on your practice sheet is it wants you to find quartile 1, quartile 2, and quartile 3. Okay? Quartile 2 is just that median. what we just found, 69.5. Okay? Now, here's a modification for you. If you don't like when it ends up between two numbers and you're like, wait, this adds so many other steps, it's okay. What you can do is count how many numbers there are. If there's an even number of elements, just take one off, because when there's an odd number of elements, you'll have a direct middle, okay, which you'll see in example number 2. Okay, so that's okay. If you are like, oh gosh, we're in the middle, I don't want to deal with this, that's fine. Just take one of the numbers off and then go from there. And that's okay. I can figure that out on your worksheet. Okay. So now this is where I started to get a little like, oh, whoa, what's happening? All right. So the fourth step, after you've found that median that's in the direct middle, you're going to find what the lower quartile or quartile 1 is, and you have to locate it in the lower half of the data set. So this median right here is your halfway point, okay? So then only looking at these 4 numbers right here, you're gonna find the median of those 4. So you would cross off the outer ones, it leaves you with those 2. So again, you would have to add 39 plus 66 and divide it by 2, and that gives you 52.5 is the lower quartile. So it's like you're finding the median of the median-ish, okay? And then the last step is to go to the upper quartile side and do the same thing, where you look at these 4 numbers, cross out the outside, you're left with 2, add these 2 together, divide them by 2, and you get 80 for your quartile 3 number. So what you would do, I'm going to show you directly on your worksheet. So what you would do, I can't see that, I know it looks different for you. That was number 1. So what you would write here is you're going to write like 69 point, that's not a point, 0.5 here, okay, because that's your median that goes in the middle. Then you would put 80 here, and then I can't remember what the last one was. It was like 52.5, I believe. Double check. Yeah, 52.5, and then you would write that there. So that's kind of how you should write it when it gets to this paper. Okay? Sometimes I know it's easier to just see it right there. So I am going to go back to our notes so we can talk about the second one. Nope. I don't want you. It really doesn't want to do this for me. There we go. I really hope you can see that. I don't think you can. Okay, bear with me, guys. Okay, now we're back to this. I feel like you could see it the whole time, but it didn't look that way to me. So had to restart. All right, so example number 2. Do the same thing where you write down the data set they give you and then rewrite it from least to greatest, right? And just like we did the other day with mean, median, mode, find the median of all these numbers, crossing out the outsides until you're left with the 1 in the middle, okay? This one's really nice because it just has, it's an odd number of a data set. So it has a direct median, all right? And that just tells you it's the number in the middle. So 56 is your median or quartile 2. Done. Don't have to do any extra math, which is nice. Now, this is where I made a mistake. So I made the mistake of being like, okay, so I have to use this median when I'm looking at all these numbers. So I'm looking at 4 numbers now. And so I found the quartile 1 to be right here at 28.5. That was incorrect. So you don't want to include this number. So up here, we didn't include, it's confusing because there was no number to see here directly. So we included like the 67 or the 72 on either side. That's where I got confused. And so here, you're done with 56. You never want to touch it again. So the median on this side, or the quartile 1, should actually be 27, not 28.5, because you should only be looking at, really, are you not going to give me my, there we go, annotations. You should only look at these 3 numbers. You want to ignore that one. And then for the upper quartile, you're only going to look at these 3 numbers. So you see that this 83 is the one in the middle, that median. So you have quartile 1 should be 27. The quartile 2, or just typical median, should be 56. And then quartile 3 should be 83. Okay, so that is a little bit about how to do that. I know it seems overwhelming, but let's go ahead and do one of the other ones together. We can try. I can't really, oh God, I just hate writing on this thing. It's so frustrating. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and stop sharing this, and we are going to show the sky. All right, so we did one together. Also, number 2 was just done. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna do, we're gonna do number 11 together. I am solely picking this because it has the least amount of numbers for me to rewrite, because I get so frustrated having to rewrite them with my trackpad. So just know that that is what is going into my decision making. I would love annotation. Okay. So you have your data set here. We have to rewrite it from least to greatest. So we're gonna go 2, then 3, 4, oh my gosh, it's getting crazy up in here, 5, 7, 8, and 10. Okay, yeah. I feel like it just looks like I write with my left hand. That's how it feels. All right, so we need to find our median first of the whole thing. So we have to start with those outside numbers and work our way in. So we know 2 and 10, 3 and 8, 4 and 7, and I love when this happens because that tells us that this 5, that is our median. So that's our quartile 2. So we can go ahead and go on over to number 11 here and just write 5. We know that that's going to be that quartile 2 number no matter what else happens. Done. Now, looking over here on this lower half, okay, we have to find the median over here. So we know 2 and 4 would cancel each other out because they're those outer numbers, and we have to find that middle one. So 3 is what we're left with, and that's our quartile 1. So that's the first number we would write. So we have quartile 1, quartile 2, and then now to find quartile 3, we find the middle number of these 3, which is 8, and that is quartile 3. So then we would just write 8 here, and you're done. Okay, so it's just a lot of finding the median and breaking it up a little bit. I know it's harder with like the larger numbers and things like that. Again, if you find that having the even number and having to take those extra steps to add those 2 numbers together, find the mean of them in order to find the median, totally fine to just take a number off. So for example, I'll show you. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this one has 8. So that's where that's going to happen. You can easily just be like, you know what, I'm getting rid of this 6. Bye. And then just use these as your data set. That would be the easiest way to modify that. Okay. Another way is if, you know, having 2-digit numbers is a lot, just make some up with, like, take off one of the digits of them, be like, I want this to be 8 and this is going to be 3. That's fine. I don't think you guys are going to necessarily need to do that, but it's okay to do that. So just look out for that. And as always, you guys can ask me any questions when you need to. We are going to have a Zoom tomorrow morning at 10:30. So when I email this video out, I'm also going to email out the link to the Zoom call for that. Great time to ask questions. It's also, the link is also in our Google Classroom stream. So got a lot of places to find things. So hopefully that helps. I will be at school today, so just keep that in mind, that if you're asking questions, it might just take me a little bit longer. Usually I respond within about 5 to 10 minutes. It might be a little bit longer than that just because I'm hard at work making work for next week. So have a wonderful Wednesday, and I will see you tomorrow. All right, bye, you guys.